Hi. Okay, so for our final wine, we have the 2018 Diego Conterno Barolo, the La Coste de Monforte. Um, so this is the producer is Diego Conterno. Yes, that Conterno. So one of the most famous names in Italy, and really more so in Barolo. But this is from his single vineyard called La Coste. And Monforte is one of the five main communes or subregions of Barolo. So there are, it's technically the whole is called Monforte. The whole name of the region is Monforte de Alba. And Alba is the larger region that Barolo is within. So, yeah, so Diego Conterno kind of struck out on his own in 2000. He left the Conterno Fantino winery that he had founded, and he took some of the most prized vineyards with him. Also, he decided to completely switch gears and make his wines in a little bit more of a traditional manner, whereas Conterno Fantino, the wines were stylistically a little bit more modern. So that means that the wines were more extracted, had more new oak, and they just kind of felt that they were overall not as like traditionally styled as wines from Barolo, wines from the region historically. So he wanted to kind of, have a like revert back to the traditional style of winemaking. And I haven't had these wines yet, so this was really exciting for me. I think this is definitely qualifies as an up and comer in a classic wine region. It doesn't get more classic than Barolo and Nebbiolo. So Nebbiolo is the grape variety that is the main red grape variety of Barolo. It's really only grown in this region. Every now and then you can find some wineries in California, actually, in the Central Coast, kind of playing around with it. And Aubin Clément is one of the producers that's had some success with it. But for the most part, really, the home of Nebbiolo is in Barolo, and no one does it better. So the wine has to be aged for 38 months before it can be released, and 18 of those months have to be aged in oak. So it's rarely ever new oak. That's also kind of more of a stylistic choice, but more of the traditional producers use larger barrels, and those are obviously used barrels that they use repeatedly year after year. And but some of the newer, more modern producers do utilize a little bit of French barrique, but this producer is not. So yeah, this is the 2018 100% Nebbiolo. Wow. So you can see here the color here is very light. You can definitely see your fingers through the glass. It's more of like a red brick color with a little bit of like an orange rim around the edges, which is very common and classic for Nebbiolo. So on the nose, a lot of smells of aromatics of like kind of cranberry, red plum, even some red raspberry, but more like dried, not there's a little bit of a freshness there, but it's definitely more dried. Overall, like there's some potpourri elements to it as well. So some kind of dried roses, like dried yellow roses even. There is again some kind of like herbaceous notes here, but more like fine herbs here of oregano, tarragon, hint of like baking spices here, but more like just a dust of like cinnamon and clove. There is a little bit of an like a earthy element here, so kind of some like wet leaves and compost. Mm. On the palate, this is very dry, a little bit of a sour element to it, which is also very classic for Nebbiolo. The tannin level, which is kind of Nebbiolo is somewhat famous for its level of tannins, which again is that like drying out sensation that you get in your mouth. And I mean, the tannins linger, but it's not overwhelming or overpowering. Again, I think with time, this is going to kind of mellow out a little bit. But I would say right now it's a medium plus level. Alcohol appears to be medium plus around the 14% level. We can verify that in a minute. 14.5%. So yeah, bordering on the high. And then you have the acidity here. It feels like it's about a medium plus as well. So all of the elements are in balance. Um, this is a wine that would definitely benefit from some food. If you had like a really nice lamb shank or even pork. I would say like beef short ribs, anything with a little bit of fat on it would really kind of pair well with the tannin here. Mm. I just thought of some Asabuco. Um, it's really an elegant wine. It just feels really silky on your palate. I love this is the I love the style of these wines. I think this is a really great introduction to someone for someone who wants to kind of get introduced to Barolo, but I think these wines have a lot of aging potential, and I'm sure there's other wines that Diego Conterno makes as well, and probably makes some Reserva levels, which are probably gorgeous wines. So I think this is definitely a producer to keep your eye on, and really impressed with this wine. So hope you enjoy it.